This is The Weekly Set, an official podcast of TheTotalScreen.com.
I wish I was the monster you think I am.
You have come here to beseech me?
Can't ask for your soul.
Madness can be a medicine for the modern world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Weekly Set, the official podcast of The Total Screen. I'm your host. My name is Tyson, and joining me today, as always, is my partner in crime here at The Total Screen, William Rohrig.
Hello.
So, today we are discussing Wandavision, Episode 8, titled Previously On. This is the penultimate episode of the series, and this is episode 293 of our podcast. So let's get talking about what happened in Wandavision.
Cracking.
Like usual, the titles of these episodes are spot on. Instead of a recap episode, though, this Previously On refers to basically everything that Agatha Harkness has been doing behind the scenes this whole time.
Yes.
It even kicks off with her having her own Marvel logo.
Yes, it does.
It turning purple and evaporating into smoke before we see the Salem witch trials, except it's a bunch of witches trying her.
Yeah, exactly. It's Swerve. It's, we get some backstory on Agatha, you know? We get to find out, I mean, not everything, but like, at least, I guess, like, what made Agatha Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
She was ambitious and got ahead of her station and started experimenting with dangerous magics.
Yeah, and the other witches in the coven, including her own mother, did not like that. They were not happy.
Yeah, they tried to stop her, and they ended up all getting drained.
Yeah. Yeah, her purple magic is more powerful than their blue magic.
Yeah.
So we know, like, purple is a more powerful color than blue. That's what we learned. And
I guess it's kind of a scale, because it goes
and red
blue,
is more powerful
purple to red, right?
Yeah, red is more powerful than purple, apparently. And
Yeah.
green is the most powerful of them all. Nobody has green magic except for maybe Doctor Strange.
Well, that's money.
Yeah, that's money.
So green is the most powerful magic of all.
Yes.
As Jeff Bezos has demonstrated his sorcery.
But yeah, Agatha drains her entire coven and her mother and becomes essentially, I suppose, up to Wanda Maximoff's existence, the most powerful witch in the world, presumably.
Yeah, seemingly. She's, as far as we know.
Yeah.
And unless they're gonna, like, retcon that at some point, you know.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it also kind of gives us an idea of, like, okay, well, this is apparently how she's lived so long. She just literally drained the life force out of all these people.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Presumably she's been doing this on other occasions.
Yeah, that's her secret to immortality.
She talks to Wanda about how she's impressed by the fact that Wanda's using magic on, like, autopilot.
Well, yeah, so Wanda, so it's established here that Wanda is way more powerful than even Agatha is. And Agatha's there because Agatha wants to know why Wanda's so powerful. And she basically wants to gain that knowledge so that she can make herself that powerful. You know, she knows she's no longer the most powerful witch in the game. So, you know, she's jealous of Wanda. She wants that power for herself. And so what she sets to do here, what she's been trying to do, is she's been trying to learn the secret of Wanda's magic. And what she does essentially in this episode here is she sets Wanda on a very personal journey through her past.
Wanda Maximoff, this is your life.
Yeah, this is your life. So that, so Agatha can gain a deeper insight into how Wanda's powers manifested.
Mm-hmm. This begins with them going to Sokovia when Wanda and her brother are kids. This gives us an insight into why the sitcoms.
Yeah, we get an explanation for why everything is structured like sitcoms. And the simple answer is because Wanda grew up loving American sitcoms and she uses them as a source for comfort, you know, especially when something tragic happens, or she kind of retreats into them. you know?
Yeah, they showed that her parents basically were sheltering their kids from the violence outside, which they showed directly. Like the mother, like glances outside and you just see like violence in the streets. And then she like kind of quickly closes the curtain and they're like, you know, saying, you know, Wanda, it's your time to pick an episode.
Yeah.
She picks, you know, the Dick Van Dyke Show.
The Dick Van Dyke Show, which is, you know, apparently her favorite show. It's a little thing, a little inaccuracy. So that scene's supposed to take place in 1999, yet somehow Wanda's dad has the complete series of Malcolm in the Middle, a show that premiered in 2000, a year later.
Well, this is the MCU universe.
Come on, guys.
See, in the MCU universe, Malcolm in the Middle aired earlier.
It aired in the 90s. Oh, okay. It makes sense.
But yeah, so you see like all these DVDs and stuff of it.
Yeah, the DVDs are obviously the shows that inspired WandaVision, that inspired the episodes.
As you said, we see the Dick Van Dyke Show. We see Malcolm in the Middle.
Malcolm in the Middle. There's Bewitched in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
There's a few others.
Yeah, there's a few others.
But it's just like a briefcase full of them, basically.
Yeah. And
you get like Pietro's like, another fucking sitcom.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Language.
Wanda's like, it's my turn.
It's her. Unfortunately, like you said, there is violence happening around them. And unfortunately, while they're watching the Dick Van Dyke Show, Wanda's parents are blown up by a bomb, a stray bomb, from Stark Industries, courtesy of Stark Industries.
This is something we knew about before.
Yeah.
That this happened, and this was just talked about in like Age of Ultron and stuff. But we got a little retcon here in that, you know, now there's an implication. It's pretty much said.
Well, Agatha points it out.
Yeah. It's pretty much said that that Wanda has had witch powers her whole life.
This is, they don't definitively say this is like the first time she's used them, but Agatha points out to Wanda that Wanda's looking at it, and, you know, Wanda's looking at it from her perspective, and she doesn't get it. You know, she sees it as her and her brother managed to survive in there without that bomb going off. But Agatha points out to her, Agatha says, no, you used a probability hex to change the outcome so that bomb didn't go off.
Yeah, and this kind of throws Wanda for a loop.
Yeah.
She's kind of like arguing it like, no, like I don't know how to do that, or, you know, but
yeah,
you see the young Wanda like maneuvering her fingers in the same way Wanda does when she's doing magic, like implying that she did do some kind of a hex, you know?
Right, exactly.
That's kind of what's learned from that memory, and then another door opens up, and that one leads to the twins joining Hydra.
Yeah, when Hydra is running those experiments on them, and the Mind Stone.
This is where you get, throughout this episode, man, like this episode's like a showpiece for Elizabeth Olsen as an actress.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And this is the first one where you really get that in this episode, is in this scene where she's just distraught and messed up and looks kind of famished, and, you know, just like, you know, they just did such a good job of just portraying somebody that just has nothing.
Right, exactly. You can tell they've been running all these experiments on them.
Mm-hmm.
And Hydra is now running an experiment to see how they react to the Mind Stone. And it's even pointed out by like one of the scientists, you know, that everybody who come into contact with it previously, like direct contact, have died from touching it. And he kind of warns this isn't going to happen again.
Yeah, they're basically like assuming, well, maybe it will happen again, but it doesn't matter. We have plenty of extra subjects.
Right, exactly.
She has a moment with the Mind Stone in the form of the scepter, because they don't really know what they have.
No, they don't. It's, the Mind Stone, again, it's the scepter that was confiscated from Loki after the end of the Avengers. It was confiscated by S.H.I.E.L.D., but we know since S.H.I.E.L.D. was compromised by Hydra, that Hydra got a hold of it.
Yes. And so we see from Wanda's perspective, she basically has this whole moment where the stone comes out of the scepter, the casing around the stone shatters, revealing the yellow stone that, you know, eventually ended up in Vision's head.
Yeah, the pure Mind Stone.
And she sees, like, in the Mind Stone, she sees basically, like, herself from the future, meaning the future that we haven't seen yet.
Well, she sees the Scarlet Witch, right? We don't know if that's herself from the future, or if, like, that's supposed to be like an avatar of like her magic.
Another
like,
thing I've heard thrown around is that this might be similar to like the Phoenix Force.
Yeah. That's what I took it to be, like, similar to. Like, it's not literally her, like, it's literally like almost like a physical manifestation of her magic, of her powers, that's showing to her, because the Mind Stone in that moment is amplifying her abilities.
That's true, but it is her. Like, it's Elizabeth Olsen's shape, you know?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Playing that part. And we see it kind of like, she's like hovering down to her full Scarlet Witch costume. And you see the reflection in her eye of it too.
Yeah, it's a fantastic moment.
Another cool thing about this scene is that this is like the first instance of like an edit, like we had in WandaVision before already, where they showed that like parts of the episodes were cut out. And here, like they show in their surveillance footage, Wanda's like standing up and then she's just on the ground.
Yeah.
So there was an edit in the surveillance footage.
Yeah, exactly. There's a scene missing in that footage, you know?
Yeah, which is something we've been seeing in WandaVision, you know?
Yes.
So it's kind of like an interesting connection there, you know? It seems to be, I mean, it's, you know, even with only one episode left, there's still so many, like, you know, things we don't know. But it seems like whatever her power is kind of runs as, like, Agatha was talking about running on autopilot, but it's almost like there's a separate consciousness.
Well, Agatha says autopilot because, like, the breadth and the scope of it, right? Agatha talks about casting a mind control hex, and she says if you find a mind weak enough, you can take control of it and have it do your bidding. But she points out it's hard enough for Agatha to do that to one person, but Wanda has an entire town under her control running complex scripts and interactions and everything.
Non-stop for weeks.
Like non-stop for weeks, entirely effortlessly on Wanda's part.
Yeah, like unconsciously.
Yeah.
On Wanda's part, you know?
Yeah, like on autopilot.
This opens up the next scene because, you know, she's like, Agatha's like, now I know that you came in touch with an Infinity Stone and that like blipped up your power, by a magnitude.
Yeah.
But she's like, but I still don't understand, like, why you did this or, like, how you did this. Like, that shows how you have the power to do this, but not how you did this, you know, or why. And so the next scene we get is from the Avengers headquarters.
Yeah. Right after Age of Ultron. Right after the death of Pietro.
Mm-hmm.
And this is
Vision coming to comfort her.
Yes.
And it shows that how interesting the connection between those two is, because she's somebody that's like an outsider from this group, but he's like an outsider to humanity, you know?
Yeah, he is. He's like brand new at that point.
Yes.
Also, yeah.
He's a newborn.
Yeah, he's a newborn.
So he's trying to like communicate to her and he doesn't want to offend her. He's kind of walking on eggshells and he's trying to do what he can to help her.
The greatest line in all of human written history was uttered. What is grief if not love persevering?
Yeah.
I thought it was a great line, but man, the internet like kind of like really hyped that up to like, it's a great line. It's, you know.
It is a great line. That's the thing. It's like, it's a nice like poetic phrasing.
Yeah, it's nice poetic phrasing. Yeah.
So that was a good scene.
I really love that scene though. I think that's one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode.
Almost more than anything we've seen in the MCU so far, this really establishes why Wanda and Vision care about each other.
Yes.
And this like really kind of makes that feel real in a way that like nothing else has yet to this extent.
Also during that scene, Wanda and Vision are watching Malcolm in the Middle. So.
Yeah. Vision's confused about what makes the scene funny. He's like, because he's grievously injured, that's funny.
Yeah.
There's another great line, which is when she says, no, he's not grievously injured. And he says, well, how do you know? And she says, because it's not that kind of show.
Yes.
Which, I guess you could take to mean that WandaVision is that kind of show.
I don't know.
WandaVision itself, like, it's a sitcom, isn't that kind of show, but WandaVision is like graduating from sitcom, in this episode and into the next episode apparently as well. And then we jump ahead to after the events of Endgame.
Yeah, after, Vision's death.
Yeah. Scarlet Witch.
At the hands of Wanda originally to prevent Thanos from getting the Mind Stone, and then again at the hands of Thanos after Thanos rewound time, resurrected Vision, and just took it.
Mm-hmm. We see Wanda, she's visiting Sword.
Which, that had to really mess her up, her having to kill Vision herself just to have to watch him die again.
Yeah, this is what was pointed out in the last episode when Darcy was talking to Vision.
Yeah.
About the effect of having to watch him die twice.
Yeah.
She visits Sword, the Sword facility that we've seen before.
So, yeah, she visits Sword. So here's the interesting thing about this scene, because now we find out that Hayward has been lying.
Yes, because before we'd seen him say that she had taken Vision's body.
Yeah, and he even had footage, right? He had security footage of her busting in, and he said, she busted in and stole the Vision's corpse, and Hayward was able to point to the WandaVision show and say, see, that's what she's been doing with it. Vision's existence on that show kind of, accidentally served to back up Hayward's story, right?
It makes me think more and more that somebody, I don't think Hayward is a mastermind in this, but no. I think somebody is influencing. Somebody's putting ideas in his head.
Oh, you think he's being influenced?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think he's being controlled, but I think he's being influenced. I think there's probably some random Sword agent that's not who they seem to be, that's kind of leading him astray.
Because we find out in this scene that Wanda did not break into Sword, that she was in fact let in by Hayward himself.
She did kind of break stuff in Sword.
She did kind of break stuff in Sword, yeah. Which,
she broke some windows and stuff.
Provide some convenient security footage for Hayward to manipulate later. But Hayward let her in. He also told her that she could say goodbye to Vision. She gets upset. She breaks the window, but she goes down to where Vision's disassembled body is, and she just says goodbye, and then she gets in her car.
Well, she touches his head kind of almost expectantly, like she was expecting that she'd be able to find him.
Right.
And then she says, I don't feel you.
Yeah, she says, I don't feel you.
Which is it's a callback to when they had a scene before. I can't remember where. It might have not even been in WandaVision. It might have been in one of the movies, but I think it might have been in Infinity War. But where she had touched Vision's head or something, and she said, I feel you.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that was kind of a callback to that. But yeah, so she leaves from there, kind of defeated and gives up and heads back into her car.
She has a deed. She goes to because she has a deed. So her and Vision bought a plot of land in New Jersey where they plan to build a home, and start a life together.
It looks like Vision bought it for her as a surprise or something.
Oh, maybe.
Because there's a note that says to grow old in.
Yes.
And it says -V and there's a heart around it.
Oh, yeah. So maybe Vision did buy it.
And this is in Westview. Yeah, this is where, all this
obviously. Yeah, obviously this is in Westview, New Jersey.
Yeah. She drives into the town and you see a bunch of the people we've been seeing.
You see
the mailman, you see the mom from that 70s show that was in the first episode. And
town everybody looks kind of a dump.
Yeah, everybody looks depressed and defeated. And, it really reminded me of the scene in Endgame when Ant-Man came back and you see him kind of walking through San Francisco and it just looked like a dump. Everything looked unmaintained. It just looked like everybody had given up. And so it's that kind of post-Endgame or not post-Endgame, but I guess Endgame, in Endgame mentality of the people have just given up.
Yes.
Half the people have disappeared and everybody's just depressed and out of it. And, when this actually takes place, places after Endgame because she was blipped as well and had come back. But like, it just shows that like, even with the recovery, even with people coming back, there's just people are just, still destroyed by what happened. And, so that's, we see her come into Westview. She goes to the plot of land that Vision bought her, and there's nothing there. It's just like the outline of a place. And she just goes into the center of that outline of that house and just starts completely breaking down.
Oh, yeah, she breaks down because, the combination of her having just seen Vision's disassembled corpse plus the deed, with the note that says to grow old together, and, the realization that that's never going to happen just hits her like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And she can't hold in her grief anymore,
So we get this very painful to watch scene.
Yeah.
Of her just wailing.
And in her grief, she creates Wandavision, right? We see the creation of Wandavision, which comes out of her grief. It's not a conscious, I'm going to do this, I'm going to just live in a sitcom now. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene is so beautiful when after like the town is made, after like Vision is kind of born from her. After that, like, Vision just kind of looks at her and everything's black and white except her.
Yes.
And Vision looks at her and just says,
because
Wanda?
we know the show started as black and white, so it starts in the time period that we saw in the first episode.
Vision just says, Wanda? And she starts walking towards him, and then it cuts to a low angle, and you see her continuing to walk, so it's like a cut on her walk, and all of a sudden she's black and white, and she's the appearance that we saw her as in the first episode.
Yes.
And it's such like a beautifully shot and cut together scene.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's an amazing scene.
It just kind of shows like, that's her moment where she just gives up into her delusion.
Yes, yeah.
And just kind of like accepts like, oh, I'm just gonna live this delusion now. And she's already broken, and this is like her kind of finding happiness in being broken.
Yeah, again, we've established that Wanda takes comfort in sitcoms to kind of escape her grief. We saw that, when her parents got bombed. We saw that, when she was in the Hydra facility being experimented on. We saw that after the death of her brother. We saw her escaping into these sitcoms. And this is her in her greatest moment of grief, literally escaping into a sitcom.
Yes. And this brings us back up to where this show started at, but it's not where it ends, because remember, this is all a memory that she's seeing. So when it pulls back from Wanda and Vision sitting on the couch together, you see current Wanda in color standing like behind them, having observed this. This is something that like, even though she went through it, it's like she's like unconscious to this having happened,
Yeah, she doesn't realize that this is what happened.
So she's kind of like seeing that for the first time, and then it pulls out to reveal that they're in like a TV studio. Which the cool thing is, like, I guess the first episode, maybe the first two, but I think it was the first episode of WandaVision was literally filmed before a live studio audience. Like, they actually filmed it in front of a studio audience the way they would like an old one. So like this set that we see of like this like live studio audience set was probably where they actually filmed with a studio audience.
Yeah.
For the show, which is like making use of that set, which is really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah. And
Agatha's clapping.
Yeah, and we know like it was that outpouring of magical power that transformed the town that attracted Agatha to Westview. Mm-hmm. That brought her in because she sensed all this power.
So Agatha's in where the studio audience would be, and she's clapping to current Wanda, who's now gone through all of her memories, the memory tour that Agatha took her on. And then Agatha kind of disappears, and Wanda hears her kids crying out.
Yeah.
And she runs outside of the studio door, and that takes her out of the front door of her house. And in the street, Agatha's basically got her kids on magical leashes.
Yes.
And, she reveals to Wanda that Wanda is the Scarlet Witch. She says, you're not supposed to exist. You're able to enact creation with your magic. That's not supposed to be something that exists. She says, you're dangerous. This is chaos magic.
Yeah, she literally says it's chaos magic. And then Agatha literally calls her a Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Which is apparently the thing.
Well, it's like the way Agatha referred to it is like it's a legend that's not supposed to be real. Like it's something she knows about, but that she didn't even believe actually existed.
Right, exactly.
That's where kind of the credits come up, and we have one post-credits scene, which is, it shows Hayward outside of the Hex with like a tent built up with, all his, sword personnel. And he goes inside one of the tents.
So remember, we learned from the rest of the episode that Hayward lied. Wanda didn't take Vision's corpse. That means Hayward still had Vision's corpse. Sword still had the Vision this entire time.
Yes. We see Vision's body constructed, and he uses the drone that they had sent in.
Yes.
That's still radiating with Wanda's chaos magic.
Yes. So Hayward says, they've tried everything to bring the Vision back online and nothing worked.
Taken him apart and rebuilt him 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, taken him apart and rebuilt him 1,000,000 times until they got a hold of Wanda's magic.
Yeah, they just needed something from the source.
Yes.
Which for him to even be able to do something that harnesses magic, which is not like a technology that exists in the MCU.
Right, yeah.
Implies, again, like I said, somebody is influencing Hayward.
Yeah, you gotta admit, he was able to, take Wanda's magic and understand it and engineer it to his ends pretty quickly. That's a pretty fast turnaround time for that. To take energy you know nothing about and just be able to use it.
Somebody is definitely influencing him.
Yeah.
Somebody's giving him information that he needs, unbeknownst to him. Like Hayward thinks he's in control, but isn't. That's my theory here.
But okay,
that Hayward thinks he's in control, but he isn't.
That's probably a good theory because we've been theorizing all along that there's something other than Agatha, some power even larger than Agatha that's kind of manipulating things here.
Well, I mean, we've learned from Doctor Strange, like the first Doctor Strange movie, that when you see like a book of magic that's radiating power, it means that it's probably linked to some great entity.
Yes.
In Doctor Strange, that was Dormammu.
Yep, that was Dormammu and Doctor Strange. And we saw a book of magic in Agatha's basement,
Radiating power.
Radiating power. Yeah, exactly.
So where's that power coming from?
Yeah. Because we know that, or at least from Doctor Strange, we know that magic is connected to these ancient entities. It doesn't come out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
When you perform magic in the MCU, you are drawing on the powers of these otherworldly beings. And so what entity is connected to the book in Agatha's possession?
Yeah, and how is that influencing people outside of the Hex? Like, I think the same thing that's connected to that book is what's influencing Hayward.
Yes. I think that's a solid theory. So I think I can agree with you on that.
So, Hayward uses the drone that Wanda had affected and is radiating some of her magic on it, puts it into the device with Vision's body and reanimates him, but he's devoid of color. So that's kind of where we're left off on. We have this white Vision that's been woken up. We have Agatha holding Wanda's kids hostage. We have Wanda facing off against her, now knowing who she is and knowing kind of the truth of what happened here and what she caused. And this is everything that's going to lead us into the series finale next week.
Right, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that finale.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some Vision versus Vision.
Obviously, yes.
I think that the white Vision opens up an opportunity for old Vision to return, but I don't think the tone of the series matches that happening.
Man, some people, I don't think the tone of the series mentions. Some people are speculating that white Vision is going to kill off Wanda's version of Vision and probably lead Wanda to another explosive magic outburst that's going to lead into Doctor Strange.
That could happen. I kind of don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Vision's going to have more agency in what ends up happening.
Right.
I think Vision's going to probably stop White Vision, but at the cost of his own life, at the cost of his own existence. Or like at the cost of the Hex coming down, which as we saw when he exited the Hex,
it's going to be
he got ripped apart, you know?
It's going to be an interesting finale considering all the players involved. You know, we have Vision, we have White Vision, we have Wanda, we have Agatha, we have Monica Rambeau, who has powers now.
Darcy and Jimmy.
Darcy and Jimmy Woo. So, you know, it's gonna be a fun finale, or at least it should be a fun finale.
Plus, like you said, we both kind of agree that there's something else there. There's some other power there. And so that has to come into being as well.
Yes.
We have to have that show itself.
We have to be in there. I'm not expecting a reveal for that. Like I was speculating with you before, I'm not expecting a reveal for that until the end of the episode, and I think it's going to be more of a tease for Doctor Strange, because I think
post-credit scene.
Yeah, because I think whatever entity is manipulating things is going to be the major villain for the next Doctor Strange movie.
Remember, a lot of the Marvel post-credit scenes, not all of them, but a lot of them that lead into the next movies are actually scenes from the next movies.
Right, yeah.
So this could very well be like a short scene from Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if they filmed anything.
I think they're currently filming Doctor Strange 2. Yeah, I think they are currently filming Doctor Strange 2. I saw a tweet. Bruce Campbell tweeted recently that he just finished shooting a movie for an unnamed director in an unnamed city. And, he kept saying, like, unnamed. And it's like, who's directing Doctor Strange?
Yep,
Sam Raimi.
And Bruce Campbell is on, like, everything he does.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell has, like, a cameo in almost, like, every movie Sam Raimi makes. So
it's going to be Bruce Campbell playing Mephisto or something.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
That would be crazy. That'd be crazy if the end credits scene at WandaVision is fucking Bruce Campbell and he turns into like Mephisto.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to see how this series wraps up, how it acts as a lead-in to Doctor Strange 2, and kind of like how it's going to leave us with Falcon and Winter Soldier coming 2 weeks after it, you know? Like, are we just gonna be left off going like, man, we're so fucking hyped now, then we just want to go straight into Doctor Strange, but now we're gonna like lose our anticipation for Falcon and the Winter Soldier because we're so psyched for Doctor Strange too.
Right.
Or if it's gonna kind of lead us off like going like, okay, yeah, we can take a break and get that next thing and then get back into Doctor Strange 2.
It's gonna be interesting because they pointed out that, Falcon and Winter Soldier isn't directly connected to the whole WandaVision, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's not that side of the
trilogy. Yeah, it's not that side of the Marvel universe. So, but that's gonna be fun times as well. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's it. So that's it for this week. As we said, next week is going to be the season finale. Then we're going to be taking a 1 week break and we're going to return in time to do, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Woo woo.
So yeah, that's, and we're just going to run through the rest of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And that's the end of this podcast.
Yeah, that's the end of this podcast.
After Falcon and Winter Soldier ends, I think we're going to have like one episode after that ends, which will be like probably our last Advocates of Grey Television for the podcast, for the last episode of our podcast. And then we're going to launch a new podcast. We're going to take a few weeks off, maybe up to a month off to kind of figure out what we're doing with our next podcast, get everything going on that. And then we're going to be launching our new podcast, which is going to be, it'll be mostly this, I think, because it's still going to be the two of us. So it's going to end up being mostly the same kind of thing, but we're going to broaden our scope a bit about what we can cover. So instead of just TV, we're going to cover TV, we're going to cover movies, we're going to cover games. It might be a little bit more structured into like segments rather than just like this week we're covering this one topic kind of thing. And so yeah, that's something to look forward to for the next couple of weeks. Also coming in the next couple of weeks, here's what's coming up on TV in the next couple of weeks on the horizon. So today is March 1st, 2021. On today, as we're recording this, Debris is airing on NBC. We've talked about it before on, this segment of the show. It's another Lost wannabe show. Probably won't be good.
No, it won't
Do
be
not
good.
have high expectations. On Tuesday, March 2nd, The Flash returns on the CW, and New Amsterdam returns on NBC. On Thursday, March 4th, Stephen Colbert Presents Tuning Out the News airs on Paramount+, and Pacific Rim The Black debuts on Netflix. On Friday, March 5th, Winona Earp comes to Sci-Fi for another season. On Sunday, March 7th, Pennyworth returns on Epix, and Good Girls returns on NBC. On Wednesday, March 10th, Dior comes to Netflix, and South Park with a Q, the vaccination special, comes to Comedy Central. So they have a Q there instead of a K, which, should be pretty obvious what that means. what this special is going to be touching on. On Thursday, March 11th, Cake comes to FXX, Cold Courage to AMC+, Generation to HBO Max, Grey's Anatomy to ABC, Station 19 to ABC, and A Million Little Things to ABC. On Friday, March 12th, The One comes to Netflix, and Paradise PD returns on Netflix. And on Monday, March 15th, Bulletproof returns to the CW. So that's it. As we said, next week, WandaVision's series finale. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as our site, thetotalscreen.com. You can subscribe to the podcast through any major podcast client like Apple Podcast or Pocket Cast. And the entire backlog of our podcast is available on our YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night.
Good night.
If you would like to reach out to us and make a comment, send an email to contact@thetotalscreen.com. Stay tuned to The Total Screen for the very best in genre television.